Hello there, you're watching IGN Live at Gamescom 2022. 30 years ago, the original Alone in the Dark pioneered the survival horror genre, and next year it's getting a modern reimagining. Here to tell us about it is Michael Hedberg, Game Director at Pieces Interactive. Welcome.
Thank you.
What's up, Michael? Thanks for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
This is a remake of a 1992 game, which obviously feels like 1,000 years in video game land,
For
right?
sure.
How much of that sort of kind of original DNA, that skeleton, that structure, did you decide to bring here? Like, tell me about that kind of push and pull of finding those original bones there and digging them up and building a new flesh on top of them.
Yeah, for sure. We quickly realized that just making a pure remake would be really, really weird. So we kind of had to reimagine the original material as much as we could. But yeah, I'm a big fan of it, and I feel like a huge responsibility to sort of really dig in and really care for this product and to figure out what did the original sort of creators think about this game and what were they trying to say. So actually it's just been a ton of over-analyzing of the original game, just trying to sort of extrapolate from there.
I absolutely love the creature design in this game. It's incredibly inspired. It's deeply unsettling, and that's coming from someone who's like a huge fan of horror. Can you tell me like how you decided where to put what body parts on what creatures?
Well, thankfully we managed to employ Guy Davis.
I don't like this at all, by the way. I don't like the egg sack stumping on people. I don't like all that's gross. How dare you?
Yeah, exactly. How dare we do a horror game? No, but yeah, so we worked with Guy Davis, who is like a veteran. He works with Guillermo del Toro for his movies and things like that. So it's really, really like a legendary creator of monsters. And we just said like, hey, so this is the sort of monsters that were in the original game, and then we talked to our designers, of course, like what would we need to make a fun gameplay, and then we just sort of set him free, and he just came back with all these abominations. It was like, holy shit, okay, let's see if we can sort of let's see what we can do with this.
That's awesome. I wish I could tell my friends to come back with a bunch of monsters, and they just do. That would be great.
Now, Derceto Mansion, like how familiar is it going to feel for people who know the original like the back of their hand? Because that familiarity isn't really scary.
Yes, so the pure architecture is different, I would say, but there's because we needed to be a little bit bigger and more to explore, and we also wanted to make it more sort of a little bit more believable maybe than the previous one. But we're definitely looking at like the backstory and all the sort of the different names you come across, and so all the lore, and so just try to pull everything and just like, what could this be in our game, you know? So we're really trying to use as much as we can.
How did you know like it was like when did you know it was working? Because I know it's like when you're making a video game, it's like obviously the lighting is a big part of it, the sound is a big part of it, but it's also kind of like you get to see the haunted house with the lights on, basically.
Yeah. No, it is really weird because I guess the funny answer would be I still haven't gotten there, but you know that's not fully true. You kind of got it like a year in or two, but it was still like you have to imagine that we have all of this stuff in play, and I think like people are still sort of working a little bit in the dark.
Of course, yeah.
But you know it's there's a lot of things that will just come together at the very end, and we just have to trust that we're getting there.
Yeah, I really just appreciate the sort of like atmosphere and mood that you're building here. It reminds me of some of my favorite third-person horror ever, and it's I don't know, I just get really excited seeing a character run around with a gun to shoot horrible monsters. When I sit down and play video games, this is the kind of stuff I want to do because I'm warped.
Let's talk about the third-person thing because you know the original had fixed camera angles, and you know you made Soma and Amnesia, which are terrifyingly first-person, and in this case, it's a little more like you know you can kind of see what's over your shoulder. It's you. How did you land on that?
Yeah, so there's a few different reasons. We definitely went through all these ideas. So what was the pros and cons for different cameras? One of the big things, as you can see here, is that it's nice if you're playing and actually exploring to look at things. So if we would have the static camera and we were like, oh, we really want the player to look at that painting or something, then we would have to punch in with a different camera angle. But now we can just let the player look at whatever they want. Also, since I really wanted the characters that you play, Emily Hartwood and Edward Carnby, the two protagonists that you can play, I really wanted them to come alive, and I wanted the player to care about them. So that's why I really like this third person, where you can see them, where you can kind of look at them and interacting and really being inside the game.
Do they sort of feel different? Do they have like kind of different sensibilities when
For sure.
That's
For
really
sure.
cool.
Yeah, so Emily is more of a directly connected to the game story in the sense of her being the niece of Jeremy Hartwood, which is the catalyst for the whole story. So she's more of sort of, it's more personal for her, while Edward is hired by Emily to investigate this case. So he's a little bit more detached, but he's also kind of this rugged detective. He's like, shit, do I really didn't need to go through all of this? So he's fun in that way.
I love that he was hired for this. It's like you couldn't, like at one point does he come back and go like, you need to pay me more.
Yes,
this has gotten out of hand. There's some horrible, there's larvae falling from the ceiling, there's egg sacs, I've had enough.
We should renegotiate, yeah, for sure.
Call someone else, I'm out of here. Anyway, Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Check out your game, it looks utterly terrifying. Alone in the Dark will emerge from the shadows sometime next year, but if you want the exact opposite of solitary things in low light conditions, there are more groups of people in extremely well lit areas right here, so keep watching IGN Live at Gamescom for more.